You really learn a lot about a city after living there for several years, and sometimes things meet your expectations, some exceed, and some don't quite meet up to those expectations you had before moving there. Now, I was pretty reluctant to make a move. I had a family, two young kids, my career was pretty well established where I was living, but I was living in a big city and I knew I didn't want that lifestyle anymore. So when we were doing our research and looking on where we were going to move, we knew we wanted to be on the West Coast still. Salem kept coming onto our radar. We've got family, we've got friends here, but we still didn't know a lot about it. And certainly you don't know everything about a city until you start living there. And in this video, I want to go over the 5 things that I've learned living in Salem, Oregon after lived here for several years now. Before moving to Salem, Oregon, admittedly, I was a bit overwhelmed. I was moving away from a very large city, Los Angeles, where I was born and raised, spent over 40 years of my life there, to a brand new, smaller city. So I hope this video sheds some light on some of the things that I've learned living in Salem, Oregon, now that I've been here for a number of years. The first topic I want to jump into is the location. Now, of course, when you're doing your research, you're looking at a map where Salem is, you see where other surrounding cities are, you see where Portland is, the coastline, the mountains, and other places around Salem. But until you live here, you really don't have a true appreciation of how centrally located Salem, Oregon is to pretty much everything you'd want to do. Now, my family and I chose Salem because we have 2 young kids. We wanted to be out of that big city life, but we still like to get some of that big city influence. And knowing that we're only about an hour to an hour and a half away from Portland, which is just north of us, makes us a little bit more at ease. We can still get that big city feel when we need it, when we want it, but we don't have to live in it. And we're far enough away where we don't have to deal with. So we really live close enough to just hop in the car and go up to the city to enjoy some of our favorite museums, the zoo for our kids, stroll around downtown, go to some of the arts districts, things that we would like to take part in the big city life, but don't necessarily want to live in it. And our kids don't complain too much because being in the car for an hour to an hour and a half for a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old is not really that big of a deal. And you can just do a quick day trip. So it is really close to Portland if you want that big city life. Now, also, if we want to go south into college town like the University of Oregon, hit up a football game, basketball game, some of the track and field competitions there, or if we want to take advantage of the Eugene Airport, which is much smaller than PDX up north and a lot easier to manage, we can just head about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half to Eugene to get that college town feel, or to hit up our favorite airport if we're flying somewhere on the West Coast or the western region of the United States. So you can see you're just about an hour and change both north and south from some major cities here in Oregon. Now, if you're someone that enjoys the coastal communities, the coastline, the beach, got you covered there. We're only about an hour and 15 minutes or so from Lincoln City. That is a direct shot along the 22 going west. That'll take you right to the beach and the coastal communities in Oregon. Now, of course, the coastline is much bigger, so if you want to go into other coastal communities, you'll need to continue your drive. But Lincoln City is a really cool place and just an hour and 15 minutes away. And it's a beautiful drive. You're driving through mountains, you're driving through a little bit of forest, and then it just opens up right into the coastline and it is incredible. Oregon has some of the most beautiful coastlines that you're going to find. Now, I grew up in sunny Southern California where the water was a bit warmer and the waves are really nice, always in the water. I will warn you, the Oregon coastline is really cold. I don't necessarily enjoy going into the water as much, but I really enjoy the little coastal cities that Oregon offers. And I love that I can just round up the family, drive out for an hour and 15 minutes, a little bit of a day trip, and enjoy the coastal communities like Lincoln City and other places in Oregon. And living in Salem, you've got the best of both worlds, because if you go west, you got the coastline, but if you go east, you've got the Cascade Mountains, and you're only about an hour's drive from Detroit Lake, which is a popular lake close to Salem, and about a 2-hour drive to Mount Jefferson, which puts you right in the middle of the Cascades. So if you love skiing or just hiking in the mountains or camping, you're super close to that. Again, those can be day trips as well. So living in Salem, you can see how centrally located you really are. And if you wanted to go to the very popular Mount Hood, which is a little bit closer to Portland, it's about a 2.5-hour drive depending on where on Mount Hood that you're going to. So you can see why location is so important when you're living in Salem. And it is something that I learned living here after a few years on how relatively close everything is. And I don't have to live in a big city. I don't have to live in a college town. I don't have to live on the coastline where it's definitely a lot colder and more rainy. and I don't have to live in the mountains. So being in Salem, I'm central to everything, and my family, because we love adventure and exploring, this makes it perfect for us. Now I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer to Salem and want to show you as the map's popping up. You're surrounded by wine country and farmland here, which is really cool. So again, when it comes to location, if you're a big wine drinker or just someone likes to have fun at the wineries or drive a nice countryside road, we are surrounded by that. And so depending on where you are, you're anywhere from 5 minutes to about 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes out, and you're in the Willamette wine country, which is some beautiful geography. And it's really cool living in Salem because we get to experience that just as they're just our neighbors, basically. Now let's bring it in even closer to the city of Salem. Downtown Salem is about 20 minutes from the edge of Salem. So you can live on the outskirts of Salem and you're just about 20 minutes into the downtown area. You can see a map's popping up regardless of where you live. I live on the edge of the city and I'm only about 10 minutes from downtown, but if you live in other parts of the edge, 20 minutes and you're there. So it's really easy to navigate. You can really enjoy the charming downtown from wherever you live in the city of Salem. It's not like living in a massive city where you're stuck in traffic or it takes about an hour and change to get to the downtown area. Not the case with Salem at all. So location, even within the city, is important. It's something that we learned, that we're really close to everything we want to be. Now, number 2 on this list, this one was really important for my family and I. It is one of the main reasons why we decided to ditch the big city life. And that is Salem has a strong sense of community. And until you really live here, you really don't understand on how close Salem community is. And it's really highlighted, and you really get to experience that by all the community events that happen here in Salem, whether it's put on by the city, the county, or just private events. There's always something going on throughout all the seasons. Yes, even during the fall and winter when we have some more of our gloomy weather, things are happening. But you can really see how close and tight people are here in the city, and they really support the community events that happen here. My family and I love going to the Saturday market right here in Salem, right by the Capitol building during the spring and the summer. It really brings everyone out from all over the city to this one spot where you're going to find your local farmers there with their fresh berries or fresh vegetables. You're going to see people, special vendors there selling their crafts and their artistry work. You're going to see people there with, there's wine tasting, there's whiskey tasting. They've got great florists there. You can buy really cool plants. They've got food trucks. They've got live music and entertainment. And it's always hopping. It's always busy during those seasons. We also have the state fair, which really brings in everyone from Salem, plus everyone throughout the state comes here to our state fairgrounds. State and county fair are actually right here in Salem, and it's a really big deal for a couple of weeks. My family and I love doing this too. Again, we just love seeing how many people rally around this event. There's fun games, there's fun rides. Of course, you get to see all the farm animals and crafts, and there's competitions and there's exhibits. And it's a really big deal here in Salem, and I love seeing people come out for that. Along those lines, we have Agriculture Fest, where kids can go onto different agriculture equipment, learn about the agricultural community here in Salem. Because the agricultural industry is so big here, it's a great opportunity to learn more about that, and our kids absolutely love going there as well. We also have a Forest Fest, which happens in this park, in a particular part of the east, kind of this central eastern portion of Salem. Forest Fest kind of is this park that looks and feels like you're in a forest. You really do kind of feel away from it all, just being in this little pocket, where they highlight a lot of green living, celebrating earth. They've got crafts and artists, performances and food. Again, another fun family event to go to. At Riverfront Park, adjacent to downtown and right along the Willamette River, you have movies in the park, and you have concerts at the park at the amphitheater there. This happens pretty much during the summer times. They do especially movies. They do once a week. Concerts are about every couple of weeks. But it's really cool. You see people from all over the city throwing out a blanket, bringing their food, watching a movie together into the evening, and it's pretty special, and the kids love that as well. Downtown Salem also shuts down a number of streets for a big event called Hoopla, which people from all over the state, actually people from all over the country, come here to participate. Ages from elementary school to adults. It's 3-on-3 basketball, and it's awesome. They've got courts lined up. You get to just sit there and watch some games. If you're not participating, it's a lot of fun. They got music blasting, food vendors all over the place. And again, this is something that the community and the city really rallies around. There's hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people actually show up to this event So it's a pretty special deal for Salem. We also are host to an Ironman competition. If you're a runner, you can definitely participate. Again, people from all over the country and all over the world come here to participate in this one. It starts and goes through the Riverfront Park into Minto Brown Island Park along the Willamette River, and we go on and cheer them on because we're outdoorsy people. We're a very athletic family. Not participating myself, but we love supporting anything athletic or sports wise. So we come out here, and again, the city really rallies around to cheer on these athletes. The other big events that really rally the community are the fall festivities that happen at the local farms that surround the city, where they open up and they do big corn mazes. They've got huge pumpkin patches, hay rides. They've got a lot of games that go on for the kids. They've got obstacle courses. They have haunted corn mazes. They're all sharing their special ciders and their cider donuts and so many other cool treats. Food vendors are out there as well. They'll have live music, live entertainment, and so much more at these farms. And it's really special. It happens during the fall. And we go to like probably 6 or 7 of these. And our kids love them. We do it almost every weekend if we can. But again, you see the community come out. And this is something that we really learned about Salem. Like after living here for a number of years, we really learned that Salem just rallies around these events. And we do too. I mean, it becomes natural and part of your day-to-day life or your seasonal life that you just go to these events and you see people that you are in your neighborhood. And during the wintertime, people rally around the lights at the park at Riverfront Park. You've got drive-through light shows over at the fairgrounds, and downtown does a cool holiday parade. And so you can see throughout the entire year, throughout all the seasons, you have all of these events, and it's very well attended by people throughout the city, and even people from outside the city come here for these events. And it just brings the community together. You feel like you're part of something that, yes, in big cities they've got tons of events going on, but they're either too big, they're too hard to get to, too congested, and just not as, for my family and I, it wasn't as fun as an experience as it was to be in a smaller city when you see the same people, you see your friends, your family, they're all at these events, and it's just, again, you really feel a sense of community. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fein with the Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty, and my team and I love helping people move to and relocate to the city of Salem and surrounding areas. So hit us up at the contact information below, and we will help you with your move. Also, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hit the like button to get this video out to more people like yourselves who are researching moving to Salem, Oregon. Comment below. I'd love to answer any questions that you have there as well. The third thing that I learned here, and this was a pleasant surprise because I wasn't expecting it, was that Salem, Oregon actually has a pretty good food scene. Now, coming from Los Angeles, this was going to be hard to match. Now, I'll be the first one to say when you live in a large city, you definitely have a lot more options for you. However, Salem does offer a lot of great food experiences. And again, we were pleasantly surprised by this because my family and I love to sample and try food and have those types of experiences that are surrounded by food. Salem, Oregon has a growing food scene that's definitely gaining more and more recognition, and it's been growing in just the few years that I've lived here. There's more innovative chefs coming here, more innovative restaurants that are flocking to Salem. And the cool thing about Salem, Oregon is that because we are surrounded by farmland and agriculture, we have so much more opportunities for fresh foods, and you really feel that and taste that in the cuisine that's here in Salem. And the restaurants and the chefs here really utilize the locally sourced foods here. What's really cool is that so many restaurants here have seasonal menus. Now, a lot of people may not like that because your favorite dish in spring isn't there in summer and so forth. But what's really cool is depending on what's fresh that's growing in the farms locally. Now, they always keep their fan favorites on the menu and their main staples, but they always have some seasonal dishes. And it's just fun because you can go to a restaurant, several times a year, and you can experience and try new foods. And knowing that it's locally sourced and tasting how fresh it is, it just gets you that much more excited for going to a restaurant over and over again to try their seasonal menu. And as I mentioned, because we are in the heart of the Willamette wine country, a lot of these restaurants do fun events where they're pairing foods with some of the local wines. So if you're a wine drinker, you don't necessarily have to go to the wineries to experience the local wines. You go to your local restaurants, especially in the charming downtown area, and you'll find a lot of pairing events that make the food experience quite special. Pacific Northwest and Salem is also known for its cider, so you will have cider pairings as well, and a lot of these chefs take advantage of those local cider houses. Also learned that Salem loves its food pods or food carts. Now, coming from a large city, Los Angeles, I'll just speak specifically about LA, we had a huge food truck scene. These trucks were mobile. You'd follow them on their app, and you'd see where they'd be one day to the next, which was fun, but at the same time, sometimes you'd have to drive an hour and a half to get to your favorite food truck. That's not like that here in Salem. Yes, there's a few food trucks that actually are mobile and move around, but here in Salem, they have food pods and these almost like food courts where there's about 15 or so different food carts, all different types of cuisine, and they're all stationary in this one area, and a lot of them have seating, whether it's indoor or outdoor. There's four of them here in Salem. We've got Checkpoint 221 in West Salem, which is one of the newest ones. That's close to where we live, and we absolutely love it because sometimes when our family can't figure out what we want to eat and everyone wants something different, we just go to Checkpoint 221 and people can get whatever they like. During the summer, we eat outdoors. During the colder months, we eat indoors. They've got a full bar. They have entertainment at these places, local musicians, other types of entertainment. They've got game night, trivia night. So Checkpoint 221's at one of them. They got the Beehive in South Salem. You've got the Yard, which is more of the eastern portion of Salem. And then in downtown, you've got Fork 40. And these are really fun spots to go to. And it makes the food experience pretty enjoyable, especially when you have a family that can't figure out what they want to eat. Now, I mentioned Fork 40 being in downtown Salem. Well, most of Salem's great food restaurants and creative chefs are going to be in the downtown area. Now, what's cool is that since you're downtown, you might as well take advantage of the other entertainment that downtown has to offer after eating a great meal. We love going to Coin Jam, which is an old school arcade, the Grand Theater or the Elsinore Theater, where they've got fun events, live theater, live bands. You can do escape rooms, smash rooms, Book Bin, which is one of our favorite bookstores in the downtown area. Go to your local sweet shops. But you really make it just a whole fun outing. So you get yourself a great meal, and so you get some great dining experience downtown and some fun entertainment all in one spot. Now, the fourth thing we learned about living in Salem, Oregon, is that there is a real lack of nightlife here. Coming from a big city, this was a little bit of a disappointment. However, this wasn't as important to us as it was when we were a bit younger, before kids, where we were out quite often and wanted to stay out till midnight, 2 in the morning, and having fun partying and going to the clubs, going to the bars. We're just not there in our lives anymore. But if you're someone that still likes doing that, you're going to be disappointed. And that's something that we certainly learned here, that places just don't stay open all that late, even in the downtown area. There's no clubs to speak of. There are bars, there is live entertainment. But if you're looking for that real club, that dance experience, really not going to find that in Salem. You're going to want to go up north into Portland or down south into Eugene. Most of Salem or downtown area, because that's where most of your entertainment is going to be, kind of shuts down 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. There's a few places that stay open until midnight, but you're not going to see people, you're not going to see the streets lined with people. It's not going to have that vibe of entertainment. You're not going to get that real city buzz or entertainment buzz living in Salem, Oregon. Now, we do have concerts that come in. They do come in. They're on the state fairgrounds for the most part. But again, far and few between. For that, you're going to have to go into Portland. It seems like the people of Salem want more of that quieter lifestyle. We love going out. We love our food, love our entertainment. But, a lot of people are having fun at their homes, doing barbecues, gatherings at home, game nights at home. It's just not a city where it brings you out into the evening, into the wee hours of the evening or early morning hours. To go along with the lack of nightlife, you're also going to find places that are closed on random days. Some restaurants are closed on Mondays, some are closed on Tuesdays, some are closed on Sundays. Same with some of the shops around the city. So nightlife, not going to find it here in Salem. And even during the day, you're going to be maybe a little disappointed that one of your favorite restaurants is closed on a particular day when you're really craving that particular food. So again, smaller city, smaller entertainment vibes, lack of nightlife. We heard about this. Again, this is not something we were seeking out, but I just want to make you aware that if you're expecting to go out late at night and have a lot of options, you're not going to find that here in Salem. Now, this next thing my family and I learned after living here after a few years is something that we were warned about for sure, but didn't really understand it or learn how to look how it affects our lifestyle until living here. But before I do that, make sure you are commenting below with any questions, or if you've moved here, let me know what you've learned since living in Salem. And if you are thinking about making the move, make sure you do hit us up at the contact information in the description. We love helping people with their buying and selling needs here in Salem, Oregon. So one of the big things we learned about was the weather. Now, we had friends in Los Angeles that were from the Pacific Northwest that warned us about the weather. We moved from sunny Southern California, where it's sunny over 300 days a year, and something we were used to, very little rain, no snow, of course. Moving into Salem was a much different experience. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll see a progression where at first I'm thinking, well, it can get kind of gloomy here and it rains a lot. Whereas now, I'm not saying it doesn't, but we've gotten more used to it, and it really doesn't affect people living here, especially locals. It's just totally normal. You go about your day-to-day business. Yes, maybe you're not as outside as much as you want to be during the fall and winter, but it is not as bad as we thought it was going to be after living here for the first year. So we kind of learned two things here. We learned that the people were pretty right about telling us gloomy gray days are pretty frequent during the fall and winter months, and it does rain quite a bit here, although it's not too much more than the national average. But if you're coming from a sunny part of the country, well, then you're going to be in for an adjustment. However, when we were here for our first winter, we were like, oh wow, okay, this is what people were talking about. And our kids were like, hey, looking out the window longingly wanting to go outside and play ball. We would sometimes look out the window and be like, hey, is it going to stop raining? But the reality is, so after that first year, second year, third year, we've gotten more used to it and realized it doesn't stop the city. It doesn't stop your life. You just go with it. This may sound ridiculous to people who are moving to Salem from other parts of the country, that it rains a ton, or it's massively humid, or you've got hurricanes and tornadoes, because frankly, the seasons here are pretty mild. We do get rain. We get a beautiful spring and summer. The weather is near perfect. And we do get some dustings of snow, but nothing that bad. Maybe some ice once in a while, but it's pretty mild when compared to many parts of the country. But again, if you're someone that has like seasonal depression, or someone that doesn't do well with gray skies or rain, then you may want to reconsider, or at the very least come out to Salem during the fall and during the winter so you can experience what it's like. However, again, my family and I have learned how to manage through these seasons, fall and winter, by finding a lot of indoor activities, and Salem does have a lot to offer for that. Especially if you have kids and they have active kids like we do, we want to be out of the house. We can't be cooped up too long or everyone goes a little bit stir crazy. So there's places like the Croc Center, the Athletic Edge, Salem Gymnastics Center, several trampoline parks, and several indoor playgrounds that really let the kids run wild and have fun, get their energy out. Parents can sit back, places serve food, sometimes a little alcohol, but you can just chill and your kids can run wild while it's raining outside. And we've got the carousel down at Riverfront Park, several movie theaters, and more. So there's a lot of indoor entertainment that happens in Salem. Even at the fairgrounds, there's a lot of indoor events that happen during these rainy seasons. So you can definitely find things to do, get out of the house and go to events, go to these different places for you and the kids to get out and enjoy. And I'll stay along the lines of kids. We learned, again, coming from a sunny place, on just how long it takes to put on your rain clothes and your warm clothes, get the kids in the rain boots. For some reason, it just adds a little bit more time to get them out of the house. And when you get in the house, they've got to shed all these clothes. We also learned living in Salem that you got to bring your jacket or a sweatshirt pretty much wherever you go during the fall and winter, because it could be a little bit more mild, or the sun may be out, and then like a couple hours later, you've got a storm coming through and it's raining, or it just drops in temperature by a little bit, but enough to where you want your sweatshirt and jacket. And if you're without, well, then you've got some cranky kids and you're not feeling so good yourself. So yeah, we've learned a few things when it comes to the weather here in Salem, Oregon. Number one, realizing that people were right on saying it does rain quite a bit here. But number two is that after being here for the first year and several years later, we figured out how to manage it and kind of just roll with it, and it really doesn't bother us that much anymore. So again, if you're finding this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button to get this content out to many more people who are thinking about moving to Salem, Oregon. Comment below again with any questions. Hit the subscribe button. Check out my other videos on the channel. Most importantly, if you are thinking about making the move here, my team and I are ready for you to help you with your buying and selling needs in Salem, Oregon. Hit us up at the contact information below, and we will be happy to help you.